There's some good things and bad things about co-ops, and I'm excited to share with you today my experiences about co-ops and maybe hear from you and hear what you like or don't like about co-ops. Hi, welcome to Schulte's Sweeties Homeschool YouTube channel. My name is Stephanie and I'm a mom of 3 girls ages 14, 10, and 8. We are in our 9th year of homeschooling. I'm schooling my youngest daughter this year. This is a video. I am actually hosting this collaboration. You'll find a playlist right down below of other moms sharing like maybe their experiences, how to start a co-op. I don't know what all they are sharing, but today I thought I would kind of go through kind of our experiences of co-ops, because we have several, and just tell you like kind of from our experiences, some of our pros and cons and what we're feeling. So I will just kind of do storytelling a little bit at first and then kind of give you some pros and cons at the end. So first off, we started homeschooling when my oldest was in 1st grade. She is now a freshman in high school, so many years ago. And so she was going into 1st grade. At the time, my old daughter was about couple years old, wasn't too old, like 2 or 3 years old when we started homeschooling. And then my youngest, actually, when we made the decision to homeschool, she actually wasn't born yet. So she was a newborn that first school year, and we had lots of things. I won't go into all of that, but we had a lot of life happen in that first year. And we also found a co-op. That was kind of just something I had heard about and decided we would try it out. Thankfully, that first year, we only signed up for like 1 or 2 classes because I can't even remember. It was like 1 or 2, I think. And it was a little bit crazy at that co-op just because I ended up breaking my ankle and my dad had to take my oldest daughter to co-op. And my middle daughter really didn't have a class and she was super shy. So even if she did have a class, she would not have gone. So we kind of just started out our homeschooling career time, our homeschooling experience with a co-op. So we did not know any different of whether, how it was without a co-op. Started out nice and easy. This co-op, I will say a couple of things about it. It was at a church. It was religious co-op. It had the option to be an all-day thing if you wanted to come in the morning and have classes all day, but it was very optional, and so you could pick and choose which class might fit better for you. It was divided by different ages and different class types, and so there was lots of different variety, and they expected parents to be at the church property, but we were not expected necessarily to teach unless we had a class that we wanted to teach. We did not have to teach. I didn't even have to be in the same classroom with them. I didn't have to watch kids. We were expected to kind of help out here and there, like clean up, and I think they might have had a sign-up sheet for cleaning. I really didn't do a lot except for if I was in the nursery, I would help clean up the toys and things with that. But we had a really good experience. There was things like drama class and sewing class, and I remember there was a missionary class for my younger daughter when she finally would go to class. They had it was very well organized. You knew what to expect. You could bring a lunch if you were going to be there all day. So we were in it for several years, and by the time COVID hit in 2020, my oldest daughter had chosen classes pretty much all day long, which was fun for her, exhausting for most of us. It was a really good, she loved the experience, she loved being social butterfly. She thrived on it. It also, I will say, each class had an individual cost. Some of them were pretty low. There were some that were higher, and for some reason I just didn't think a whole lot about it, except that, well, we need to pay this because this is what she wants to do. She needs to be social. We'll do it. And it was a little bit of a bummer once COVID happened because some of the classes either went on Zoom, but not really. They didn't really carry on. So like we were kind of just basically out all of the fees that we paid, because we only went like a month maybe into classes, and then they had to be canceled. So that was just such a weird year. You can't really say much about that experience, except that it was just a weird year. So that was our very first experience. It was a really positive experience. We made good friends. We enjoyed the variety. So many great things. That was where she learned that she loved theater. So I really loved how that was working out. When we moved to a different area, we did not obviously have that when nearby. I really didn't know a lot of what was offered. I knew I didn't want to drive a ton. We were just really wanting to make friends. Honestly, at this point, we moved to a new area, no friends, except for cousins. And so we really wanted to just make friends. So myself and another mom, we got acquainted and we started a group, and it was more of a casual, like not a co-op group. We just met for park days, sometimes events, sometimes like book club. We went to like some field trips together, holidays we would spend together. I would not classify it as like a actual co-op, but a couple of the moms wanted to start a co-op. And I was like, you are good to start a co-op, but I do not want to. We were going through a lot of transition. I felt like we were just super busy. And at that point, my oldest was starting to talk about wanting to go to public school. So I was like, I can't add another thing to my plate. I don't think I want to start the co-op. Honestly, I didn't even think that we would want to be a part of it, but there were a few options, and last minute, I was like, hey, to my younger two, because my oldest was going to middle school at that point. She decided already. I said, do you want to sign up for this co-op? We need to sign up if we want to. And they said, sure. We knew the teacher, and we knew a lot of the families involved, but we weren't really sure what to expect going into this new co-op that was organized. It was every other week, not weekly, so that was kind of nice. But it was meeting on Fridays just for a few hours, but it still breaks up your day. That's another thing with the other co-op. It did break up our day, and like honestly, we got no curriculum done because it was co-op day. And so we joined it. They were meeting at a local park. They didn't, have anywhere to rent. This was a non-religious co-op. And, like I said, it was actually 2 different classes, one before lunch and one after. And we signed up, I think, for the one after lunch. So we weren't even there very long. Although with it being at the park, my girls were like, we want to play. And I didn't always want to stay around and play and everything. I will say the park atmosphere, like they have a shelter there, but it was open and it was very big, and most of the classes were meeting in the shelter. It was very hard to have noise. Noise was hard because it was like big open and everything. It got cold sometimes. I mean, I don't know. I can't remember if it was that time, or another event. It was can get windy in there. I don't know. It was not really a favorite, and honestly my girls didn't really love going. They couldn't always hear the teacher, and so it was just not really their favorite. So like when the next semester, they were doing it by semester, when the next semester I asked if they wanted to join, they were doing it further away, inside a building but further away, and I honestly did not want to drive further away from us, and they were like, no. And so pretty much we have not been a part of that co-op ever again. Nothing wrong with it, but it just wasn't a good fit for us. And I am not going to be signing my children up for something if they're not even remotely wanting to go. I don't want to drag them. I want them to like have good experiences and have a good memory of homeschooling, and not something that I made them do. So we have not had another co-op. Like, we didn't have one second semester of last year. Then my 5th grader went to public school. So now I just have one. And as I was thinking through things this summer, I was like, okay, what are we going to do for my youngest? Because she will no longer have her sisters. She doesn't have piano lessons anymore. We've kind of, like, she was going to be here with me by ourselves, like, all day, every day. And I was like, I know by evening she would see her sisters, but it's not the same. They have homework. They have things to do. All sorts of things. We're busy. So I was like, I have probably got to find something. And there was this co-op that's about a half an hour away that I had heard about, and I knew that they had sign-ups soon. So I started asking people that I knew were involved in it. It is another Christian homeschool co-op. This one meets 3 hours every week. They are very organized, have it, the weekly layout. You have 3 class periods plus like morning announcements. They have a drama club that meets after the co-op and some other clubs like robotics and stuff. Very well organized. They also host like field trips that aren't even with the co-op, but like, I don't know, it's hard to explain, but it's with the homeschooling group together. So I was kind of impressed. They already had teachers, and then I didn't really know the process, but they just placed anyone else that wasn't a teacher already into different roles. So I didn't really know what roles I was going to be doing until we got there. I think it was the open house day that I actually found out. So I was like assuming that I might end up with my youngest daughter, but I didn't. And the classes are all divided by grades. So, well, like middle school is kind of bunched together, and then high school classes are bunched together. But like pretty much any of the elementary grades are pretty much by grade level. So they had split those up. I think they used to bunch some of the elementary age, but there's a lot of kids there. So we have done that this semester, and it's gone well. My daughter is taking, her classes are space science, PE, and like a story elements class. So she has done those. She basically stays in the same classroom, and then the teachers move to them. I am helping. I have a free period. Each parent has a free period. So I have a free period, and then I help out with high school speech, which really I don't have to do much because the teacher is teaching it, and I just sit there kind of like a student too. And then I kind of add in things if I have anything. And then the next period is like a middle school art, and I am, if you know me, I am not artistic at all. Like my girls actually all tease me because I love and appreciate art, but I am not good at it. And so it's so funny that I'm a helper with that, but I do really like the class. It's actually a pretty big class, but I really like the teacher and the other helper, and it's a fun class to kind of end, and she has snacks usually. So that is our day. So it's like really from 9 a.m. to noon, which is only 3 hours, which is nice. But what happens is I already have to take my older 2 girls to school by it's like 7:15, and we are like we're halfway on our way to co-op at that point. And so I make my youngest daughter get up at the same time, and she gets ready with me, and then we drop them off, and we'll either go hang out at my mom's or go to Walmart because there's a Walmart nearby. So we make it even longer. So our morning actually starts at 6:30 to get up and moving, and then so it's already a long morning. And then it takes a half an hour after that if they finish on time. They have not always finished at noon. And then we have to come home. Sometimes we might grab lunch on our way home, and then she has speech at 1:30. And I am starting to have some meetings as well. So it just makes for an extremely long day. No other like curriculum work gets done that day, and I do not expect that of her because I just know she is exhausted. Like she's exhausted even after co-op. So we actually only have we are finishing up our semester already. One of the things I really appreciated is we signed up and we started in August. So we did August, September, October, and then and they even have a week for fall break. And there has been a couple weeks where they have had like too many people out sick. Maybe if there's too many volunteers that are going to be gone. And so we've had a couple weeks actually canceled. And we only had we're done in October. And I actually really appreciate that we don't have co-op in November and December. And I think even January. I think January is maybe when we sign up for the next semester if we wanted to. So I do appreciate that so much. It just is a really long day. So I was asking my daughter, and I think we're going to wait and see. But I've asked her, I'm like, what do you think? So we're almost done with this semester and we can sign up next semester, or we don't have to. The cost is very minimal. And I will say the park one that we did last year was also very minimal. I think it was 25 or 40. We had to pay for the group, I think maybe $40 to be a part of the group. We can go on field trips and stuff. And then 25, I think, for the co-op total. Very great cost compared to the one that we were doing, the very first one where we were paying by class. That was a lot. So I do appreciate that. It is a Christian one, but it just makes for a very long day. And even my youngest, she was like, I don't know. She doesn't always love being in class with boys that are crazy hyper, and it's hard to control them. And I think, even probably, I'm guessing, I don't know because I haven't actually observed, I'm guessing the volunteers don't want to be too harsh with other people's kids and stuff. They're not, an actual public school teacher or anything that can discipline and everything. So I don't know. I think she just has that situation even at church with the same age group of boys that are kind of rowdy. So she's kind of, I think, leaning toward not doing it next semester. We will wait and see what classes are offered and if we really do want to or not. So that's kind of where we are. One other thing that is actually not a co-op that we are doing this semester, but feels similar, is there is an enrichment center near us. So we are not doing most of the classes at this enrichment center. You could do full-time or part-time classes there and get a lot of your curriculum and schoolwork done. But we are doing, it's just one club. It's an art club, and so it's after school hours, so it can be homeschooled or public schooled. She has kind of a variety. There's a boy or two that are in there sometimes. It's kind of week to week. She doesn't know who else is going to be in there, but it's usually the same core group. And it has been, I think she just loves it. The teacher is just so awesome. She is just so much fun and always has fun activities for them to do. And honestly, she could just do art here, but I think this has been so good for her. And it's more inconvenient that it is not during school hours and we have to figure out rides and everything else. But I am really happy that that is really something that she has loved. It is more expensive too. It's kind of costly, but we are actually using public virtual school funds for that. So that is helpful so that she can have that opportunity. That has kind of been how she's had that opportunity this semester. So now I'm going to go to pros and cons. So some of the pros, a lot of the ones that we have been a part of, there is another parent teaching. That has been always my thing. I don't mind being a part of a co-op. I don't really want to teach. I would maybe co-teach, but I never have felt I feel confident with teaching my own kids. I don't really want to discipline someone else's kids. I don't want to deal with that. I don't know. But I do love having other teachers, and then I can be a helper. So I've appreciated the socialization. I really appreciate meeting other moms, but it can be a little bit exhausting. It's a lot of peopling, so, but that will go on my cons. So I've really appreciated how organized a lot of them are, and the variety of classes, and sometimes it's nice to have those classes where they're like, maybe you don't feel as comfortable teaching it. Like, I don't love teaching PE, and I think it's great that she's taking PE class. So that is one of the options, you know, like classes that maybe you don't want to teach at home, or like if there's a lab or anything like that, that is nice to have like a co-op for. And of course, friendships for my daughter, especially with her being kind of like an only child homeschooling now. So I will say this probably seems unbalanced, but I feel like I have more cons now than I would have. Maybe I would have not had all these cons previously. I don't know, but maybe I think maybe I do appreciate being at home a lot more too. And we are super busy. Like when my kids were younger, they weren't as involved in things like the big co-op had like gymnastics and sewing and all these things. So we didn't have to do things after school. But now, you know, sometimes we have things in the evenings and I just feel so busy. So I don't know, maybe I just appreciate being home more now, but here are the cons. So I have to leave for some hours. It makes for a very long day. It can be hit or miss. Maybe a teacher is willing to teach, but maybe they're not a great teacher, or not making it fun for the child, or maybe they're yelling a lot. I don't know. It could be a lot of different reasons, but maybe they just aren't a good teacher that clicks with your child. So that can be, I mean, that's kind of the same thing as like public school, but at least with homeschooling, we have the option, like they don't have to go to co-op. Like I mentioned earlier, you know, it's nice that I have a teacher, but at the same time, like I don't know the teacher. So it makes for very long days. It depends on how you feel. I know there is a big group of people that homeschool that are religious. There is also a big group of homeschooling community that is not. They're secular. And so I feel like it's pretty easy to find homeschool groups that are Christian and religious, but not as easy to find secular, non-religious groups. Sometimes when things gear off in Christian, I have no problem with Christianity, religion. We are Christian. But sometimes politics can also seep into, either way, can seep into a secular co-op or a Christian religious co-op. So that can be an issue if you maybe don't feel the same way. So I will say that. There can be cliques. Maybe you are joining, but like haven't found your people, don't know people going into it. It's very hard sometimes to join when everybody already feels like they already have friends. I worried about my daughter finding friends because it seemed like kids were already going to co-op together. It was hard for me to find moms to talk to because they already had other moms to talk to. And I will also say there are some moms that I just don't, aren't my people. And it's hard to go into a place where you don't know anybody and to try to find your people, because not everybody's going to be your person. Like I said, the class duds, maybe a class is not a great option. Like you don't really love your options. You don't have options. You have to do your age group. So that might be it. And then one of the biggest ones can be money. Like I said, the last two that we've been a part of, two of them I've been a part of have been a pretty good cost effective. I don't mind paying, under $50 really, like I feel like a decent price for a co-op especially where someone else is teaching. But those ones that you're paying maybe per class or extra monthly or something like that, it can add up. So those are my thoughts and kind of my pros and cons. I would love to hear what you feel. Have you been a part of co-op that you love, or have you had like not a great experience? Let me know down below, and don't forget to check out the playlist down below as well. Like and subscribe to my channel if you liked this video, and I will talk to you later. Have a great day.